Hey guys, welcome to another edition of RevsFanTV, where this week we're previewing our matchup against Toronto FC up in Toronto on Sunday. We'll also take a look at last week's loss to Columbus. So today let's get started with reviewing the matchup against Toronto FC. Taking a look at Toronto's last win. They did have a bye week last week, early in the season. But the week before they played Philadelphia on the road and they came out with a 4-1 victory. In that formation, they started a 3-4-2-1. Vanny is known to start with three backs in the back. Let's first start off with bye-bye Javinko. You were great for the league, but man, you were a Revs killer. I was there 3 years ago when you scored a hat trick against us in Toronto. I have nothing but love for the city of Toronto. It's one of my favorite places to go, and that soccer stadium is beautiful. Hopefully one day Boston will be having our own too. The lover or hated player last game out for Toronto stuck at the Philly with 2 goals. Michael Bradley, he had a great game. He didn't have the best passing game in the midfield, but they were asking him to play a little higher up the pitch with Josie being out and, still waiting for the new player to come on. Alejandro Pozuelo, who has not yet come in. He'll be arriving in mid-March. So I know Toronto fans are happy to be seeing him come in. Also, Nick DeLeon scored 1 goal for them as well. TFC were great on the counter. If you look, pretty much Philadelphia had much of the possession. TFC only had 38% of the possession. They did very much waste several shots in that game, though. I did watch the game. It was on before the Revs game that day. They did miss several opportunities in the attack on the counter. They actually put Philadelphia on the ropes early in that game, if you go back and take a look at it. Again, I think the back three has always played well for Vanny in that system, but I am concerned with Lawrence Simon out there. Playing right back. I think that's a spot that maybe we can expose, so we'll kind of get into that. Bradley was the X factor, and he's the X factor right now with Josie nursing that off-season ankle surgery in October back to health. But it does state this week in the Toronto press that Vanny believes that Josie may be able to play a part of the game. Probably not as a starter. He's not up to fitness yet for that much time, but most likely he'd be on the bench if needed. I'm also waiting to see how Terrence Boyd makes out switching into that system. I know he had that PK miss in the CONCACAF Champions League that may, dent his mentality right now. But I could see him coming in there and placing Jordan Hamilton up top, who's kind of, I know TFC is a little hopeful that he's going to, be a mainstay for them right now. But I think Boyd's actually a better player than him. Like I said, Josie's still recovering from off-season ankle injury. Marco Fabian, I'm not the biggest fan of him. It was a pretty, dirty tackle. I shouldn't say tackle, but, he pretty much stomped on Johnny Russell's chest and got his red card this last game. He says it wasn't meant to be, but that's for another situation. But he actually had a really good game against TFC. If you go back and look at some of the stats, he was actually the best player, on the Audi Player Index that's listed there. He was actually their best player, passing-wise as well. And can that lead to, a little bit of play from Zahito and Saicedo against that, Toronto back three in the midfield. Alex Bono actually had a really good game and kept Toronto in most of that game as well. He played quite well. And again, even though it's a back three, Bradley does drop back a lot. Plays that number 6 role, so it's like it's a back three in the attack, and then he kind of drops back, and he'll help with that defensive responsibilities for them. I think that's going to be the key, is trying to move Bradley around the pitch a little bit. He's as much as some people don't like Michael Bradley, I do, respect him. I think he's a good midfielder. He's probably one of the best defensive midfielders in Major League Soccer. The U.S. men's national team, it's a different debate, but I'm actually happy to still see him going into the team. But please don't get upset about that. It's just an opinion. Looking at the Revs, oh man, highly disappointed to lose that home opener, especially the way the game went down, the 2-0 scoreline, the PK miss from Diego. Taking a look, Zardes scored his first goal in the 26th minute. I had talked about this in the last show. I thought Pedro Santos would probably be the X factor with them. I thought they would be able to move Higuaín around a lot. And actually Pedro would probably be the one who, if anybody was going to create, would most likely be him. And, what a beautiful cross he had. It did suck to see Messiaen get beat on the back there for the cross. If you look at the play, you will see, it's been often, like I already spoke about at length on social media, the spread between Zahibo and Scotty and how much, the defensive midfielders need to be playing close together, and there was a little bit of a spread out there, but it was a great cross. You got to give Pedro his compliment. The PK most likely should never have happened. I really thought it was a very soft PK to be given in the first place. I wasn't very confident. I know this has been a merry-go situation about who's going to be taking the PKs for the Revolution, Pena, Diego, if it's Hill, if he's on the field, if Gil's on the field. But Gil was off injured on the sideline. I know Brad's after the game, most likely it would have been him taking the PK. Diego felt confident. He never took away anything on PK, and it was actually a pretty good save if you go and look at it. You probably would have wanted to be hit a little harder and a little bit more to Stefan's right. But Stefan made a good play. I mean, he's the best goalkeeper right now in MLS, and to me, he's the best goalkeeper for the U.S. national team. And you got to give him his credit. If you look back over the last 3 or 4 years, he's been probably one of the best PK stoppers I've seen, in probably the whole international level and, Major League Soccer level right now. It was a crappy one. It kind of turned the change of the game. If Diego scores that 1-1 game, we either come out with a draw at home or the tides change. Zardes kind of got a garbage time goal at the end there that unfortunately we were really pressing high and things didn't go our way, and they play a little ball through and he got us. The Revs lined up again with a 4-2-3-1. And that, looking at the overall possession, it looks like the Revs were out possession 55-45 by Columbus, even though we did have 11 shots. 6 of them on target. Columbus had 6 shots. We had 3 on target. They had 2. Both their goals went in. And kind of an odd stat for me that I was looking through the stats. It looked like the Revs, watching the game, being at the game, I did see us playing a lot of long balls. I have to get the exact number, but 60% pass actually on long balls. The thing with the long balls looked more of like they were playing not as less through balls. I didn't feel that we crossed the ball and changed the direction of the field that much, which kind of slowed us down, and there's been a lot of talk, and I actually am in agreement that they played too slow, even though we had the possessions. We were too slow moving the ball and interchanging the runs, and we can kind of get into that. Agudelo, again, really struggled up top as that lone forward. I think we're asking way too much from him. I don't think he's ever been that good to play lone forward. I think he's always feeling good with another forward, where he actually plays behind them. He was starving up there. He came off at halftime. I actually think it was the right call to take him off. He really wasn't getting anything going. I know they kind of forced Teal up front, probably a better option. Hebo and Scotty played well on D with the one mistake, obviously leading to Zardes' goal. But Zahibo was not well with his long passes, which is, I think he tries to push himself off as his forte as a good crosser. He was only 10 for 24 on long passes and 21 of 14. So he had 21 successful passes in the opponent's half and 14 missed passes in the opponent's half. But the 10 for 24 on long balls is it's not really a stat that I think of Zahibo, and I think he's the one who probably plays that old role that we have with Jermaine, that would cross the ball and switch field for us. So with him not getting that done, I felt like the play was pretty slow. And again, we've had this conversation about the slowness between Scotty and Zahibo being on the field together. But again, they did play pretty well defensively. It's just the lack of offensive punch between the two of them. Bai played good enough defense on the right. I thought Justin Merrim really struggled in this game. I don't know if that's contributed to Merrim's little slowing pace, or Bai just played really good defensively. But he really did not get the game going offensively that you would have helped with Merrim trying to punish forward so much and actually losing possession several times. You would have hoped the Revs probably could have got some type of counter off that right side. I don't know if that's a lack of Teal just dropping in so much to help Bai defensively, and then Renix comes on and, the game changed a little bit there, a little bit more pace from him, but still being rookie and, not having, his first professional game. You could see it was kind of tough to have Bai and Renix out there hoping to create something on that side. Looking back again, I thought Michael and Delamea had a great game. I thought Mencia and DeMello were pretty good back there, besides the time that Michael got beat on the cross to Zardes. I know he felt pretty gutted after that, but if you look at Michael's stats, he had 3 tackles won, 5 aerial duels won, 2 clearances. He had 23 passes in the opponent's half and only missed 7 of those passes. He had 30 successful in our own half and 90 successful long ball passes. Delamea, same thing. He had actually I think it's close to the same stat line he had in long balls last week. He had 9 successful long ball passes, and he had 33 passes in our own half, and 20 completed passes in the opposition's half. The only thing I do look at those 2 stats of, it seems that both Delamea and Messiaen had 63 passes successful in our own half. It does seem like we were playing the ball very slowly. Out the back, it was a swing left, swing right, swing left, swing right. I didn't see those dynamic runs that you were looking, or interchanging runs to try to change the field, and I don't know how much. I'd have to really dig deep into that and see how much of a difference was where Scotty and Zahibo were playing at that time, if they weren't able to get the ball to them, to actually try to have one of them switch the field to the wingers. Or how much it was, Juan starving up there, not being able to run in between defenders. When I look back, some of the things that stood out in this game was the Pena sub. I don't know if that was just a panic sub. I kind of left my head scratching. He's probably our best overall pure attacker, if you ask me. I do have an opinion of where I'd like to see him, played. It will be an opinion that we'll get to that. I still have faith, though, in that Edgar and him will actually play really well over there. I thought Edgar had a really good game for us. He was probably, I know as crazy as it sounds, he probably had some of our best opportunities by picking off some balls in the opponent's half that led to a few shots and, some half chances, I would say. Juan, that was an understandable situation. He struggled again up top. We had gone over this in the last preview that I thought Renix would probably get some play. I was actually hoping that maybe Renix would play up there as a forward, but we saw Teal go up there. How the rookies did, I could give you some of their stats. Justin came in, he had one shot off goal within the box, and he had one tackle, one block shot from outside the box. He was only 4 of 16 passing on the opponent's half. He was 3 of 9, though, passing in the final third, and he had one key pass to try to open up a scoring opportunity for us. Trejon came in a little bit later. He had 2 shots in the box. He came in for Scotty, by the way. He had 2 shots in the box, both off goal. He was 1 of 5 passing in the opponent's half, and he had 1 of 3 passing on in the final third. Gil, again, if you look through the stat line, Gil actually the ball, it looks like the Revs, that's what the focus line is to try to play the ball through Gil. I hope as this continues to happen that we will have some off-changing runs on the outsides, or if not, we'll have a forward that's actually trying to create some more space for the wing players to come in diagonally. He was 31 of 10. He had 31 successful passes in the opponent's half and missed 10 passes. He had 18 successful passes in the final third. 1 shot outside the box that kind of flew high and right. He had 4 missed crosses. I did think his crossing game was a little off. There was a couple of chances there. I do think that we actually have not been that good crossing the ball either interchanging field or in the final third this year, and I think that's something that we really have to work on. So that's where I kind of see everything going in this direction. So looking at the matchup against TFC, like I said, Alejandro Pozuelo is not walking in that door until March, so that is a good thing for us. He's a good play over in Ghent. Josie is questionable to play against the Revs. Vanny is saying that there is a good possibility that he is on the substitutes bench, so I'm assuming if he does make the subs bench and the game is close, or if they want to run out some minutes against him, we probably will see him for 20 to 30 minutes of that game. Again, I think TFC is going to line up with that 3-5-2-1 with Mavinga, Moore, and Simon, and I really think that Simon is the position that we really have to run at. If you look at him over the last 2 years, he looks a little that he's lost that step that he had up in Montreal. I know he went over to LAFC last year and then moved back across to Belgium, and now he's back again with TFC. I do think that's something that we can exploit. He was exploited several times in CONCACAF Champions League. I think this is somebody to go at. I know it's still early in the season. He could come into form. But I think that right now, if I was Brad Friedel, I'd be definitely looking to run at him a lot. I think you're not going to see anything different. You're going to see Mauro, Bradley, and as I said, Bradley's sitting up there, but I think he also drops back a lot as the number 6, trying to stop the counters and then building the ball to him and out to the wingers. You're going to see Maki Delgado and Oro, Osorio, Nick De Leon, and I think it's going to be either Hamilton or Boyd up top. I wouldn't be surprised if Boyd gets to start at home up top, and either replaced by Josie or Hamilton. That's my opinion. Hamilton may get the start as well. When I look at the Revs lineup, I think we're going to, again, see that 4-2-3-1. I don't think we're going to be switching to a 3-5-2-1 that I would really like to see, but I think we're going to stay with that 4-2-3-1. I think you're going to see Bai again, Michael, Delamea, and Edgar. I think you're going to see Scotty, and I think this is the game that Saicedo comes back into the lineup. Saicedo, I did hear some talks that maybe some people thought he was a little overrated this past season. But I really think that Saicedo is like a poor man, N'Golo Kante. He does a lot of hard work for us. You don't necessarily have to always see completed passes. It's where you get in. He's quick. He surrounds the ball. He stops a lot of counters. He digs in there tough. We are lacking that pace in the midfield, and I think we're lacking that pace of somebody pushing closer up top to Gil in the forwards. So I think Saicedo enters back into the lineup. I think that Zahibo will be exiting the starting 11 this week. I think that you're going to see Teal out on the right. I think you're going to... So this is where I get a little tricky. This is my opinion, but I think we will see. I think you're going to see Teal with Diego, Pinilla, and Gil as a fake number 9, almost like a floating 10. I think that's probably our best option. You can allow Teal, Diego, and Pinilla at different parts of that game to intertwine up top. I I think it would be a surprise, but I would really interested to see Pena play as a number 9. It takes away from that defensive responsibility you're going to get with Edgar and gives a little bit more freedom. But I do think if you line up with Teal, Diego, Pena, and Gil as a fake forward, that will allow for some interchanging runs there and kind of keep TFC guessing into which position they're going to line up. You could see it several times, Teal floating up front, Pena floating to the right, Diego to the left. You can see them play Teal, Diego, and Pena just straight that way with Gil floating as a fake forward. You could have Diego move up. I think that just allows for a lot of interchanging. Would I love to see a win in this game? I absolutely would. Do I think that it's possible? Yes. I think TFC is still finding their way back in the form. I think, if this was a mid-April game and Josie and Puzeo were into this lineup now, I think there would be a tougher game. So I do think that it is there for the picking, a 2-1 win, but I'm going to go with the 2-2 draw here on the road. I know it will be kind of unfortunate to have played 3 games and come away with 2 points, but staying undefeated on the road, taking a draw on every road game is really important. So that's why those, losses to Columbus at home are really a heartbreaker. It's a tough one to lose there. So this is kind of where I feel like our best option is a 2-2 draw there. I'd love to see a 2-1 win. Again, it's a Sunday game. It is TFC's home opener. Teams do tend to play well in home openers, burn ourselves though. But I'm thinking that 2-2 draw here is would be a very satisfying result. So again, this was the preview. I appreciate everybody who turned in last week. I hope you get to turn in again this week. You find it insightful. Feel free to leave comments there. Hopefully as this goes along, that we'll be able to make some more adjustments and make this a little bit more lively, and not so flat. But I do again appreciate it. I hope you come away with a win, but I will take a 2-2 draw on the road and go Revs. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.